All right. Hi, everyone. I'm here with Ken Sledge from Sledgehammer Horror. Thank you for joining us today, Ken. And
Yeah, absolutely.
I understand that you are a pretty big wrestling fan. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah,
Awesome,
absolutely.
awesome, awesome. Can you share with us around what age did you become a fan?
Um, Really, I was born into it. I've been watching since I can remember. My grandparents, my parents were all big pro wrestling fans, and growing up in Detroit in 1987, little baby me went to WrestleMania 3. Um, and so I don't remember any of it. Like, I'm not trying to say like, I can remember Steamboat and Savage. That's not going to happen, but
Hmm.
um it's just something that I've watched since I was young, and I've been a huge fan of ever since ever since I can remember. For me, horror movies, baseball, and wrestling were like my first three like real like true loves and passions.
Great, awesome, awesome. So then I think you already answered actually what my next question was going to be what got you into wrestling, but you said you were born into it. So,
Yeah,
all right, pretty awesome. Growing up, I guess when you were young, did you have a favorite wrestler?
Mr. Perfect.
Mr. Perfect.
Um, Growing up, I had you can't tell now because but I had very blonde, very curly hair, and me and Mr. Perfect kind of had the same haircut, and I was I thought he was great. Still to this day, like when I spit out gum, I'll spit it and I'll slap it just like Mr. Perfect did.
That's awesome.
Um, yeah, and I was always a big fan like of technical wrestlers too. Like I loved Ricky Steamboat as a kid. Um, I really liked the Macho Man. The older I got, I really got into Shawn Michaels. I think Shawn Michaels is probably the greatest in-ring performer of
Okay,
all
okay,
time.
yeah. My
Um,
best friend is a big Shawn Michaels fan. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And
yeah.
for me,
I
it
like
was
me some Shawn Michaels, man.
yeah, he's pretty awesome, Mister the Heartbreak Kid. For me, it was the Ultimate Warrior. I always loved
Yeah,
his entrance. It really, his shaking the ropes. It was really he was awesome, definitely awesome.
I
Uh,
definitely think all us kids really liked him anyway, just because he was energetic and he had the face paint.
right, right,
And he
right.
was a good guy. Because when I was
Yes.
young, like when I saw people with face paint, it was like the original, like Legion of Doom, and they were the bad guys.
Okay. Okay.
Haku wore face paint there for a little bit, the Barbarian.
Right.
And so,
Right.
like growing up, the guys that wore the face paint like that, they were normally the heels.
Yes. Right.
So, to
Right.
see the Ultimate Warrior as a baby face running out there shaking those ropes, and like he was full of electricity. He seemed like a big kid. So I think
So
that's why all of us were so,
enamored, yeah,
into
kind of
watching him.
enamored.
Yeah.
Right. 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 Definitely. Definitely. And how big a fan would you say you were of like all the weekly shows? Did you the shows that were on weekly growing up, or did you get into them?
I mean, yeah, like as a kid, Saturday night's main event was the big one,
Yeah. Hmm.
obviously. And then like I remember Raw. Um, and then like once the wars, Monday Night Wars started. I mean, I would say I probably watched them all.
Hmm.
Uh, I would even watch WCW Thunder, which was on Thursday nights, and Sunday Night Heat. And WWE had Sunday Night Heat. And then
Right.
you had Raw and Nitro. I
Right.
was always more of a WWF at the time fan than I was WCW, and again, that's really contributed to Sean.
Okay. Okay.
He won me over during the Monday Night Wars. And then
Okay.
like I just feel like at that time, if we're excluding like the biggest moment in pro wrestling history for me growing up was Hogan's heel turn at Bash at the Beach. Like that was
Yeah.
the
Oh, yeah.
craziest
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
No, but anybody that said they saw that coming was a liar. Like that was
Right.
the most
Right.
shocking thing.
That's true.
Um,
Very true.
but I feel like the WWE stuff that they did, like when Mick Foley won the world title on Raw, giving the speech, oh, that's really going to put butts in the seats over on WCW, and everybody flipped the channel. But one moment I really remember from being young during the Monday Night Wars that nobody talks about enough because it's to this day probably the biggest pop I've ever seen. It was Chris Jericho versus Triple H in a title match on Raw, and Jericho won the match with the lion salt. And he got the Earl Hebner did the quick pin because him and Triple H had that little beef going. So later in the night, they reversed the decision and gave the title back to Triple H.
Uh,
And if you watch it, you can find it on YouTube, guys. Just check that out. Like, it's the biggest pop you'll ever hear. Like, the crowd went absolutely ape shit when Jericho won that match. And
right. Right.
stuff like that, I felt like WWE did a lot better. WCW dropped the ball a lot. Um, which is crazy because they had the bigger stars. I mean, you had Bret
Right.
Hart going over there, you had Hall, Nash, Hogan, Sting, Luger. Arguably, they had the better cast of characters.
Yeah.
But in WWE, the writing was so much better, and they knew how to, at least for me as a kid at the time, they could keep me intrigued. Even like Goldberg's streak didn't matter to me. I was like, I don't really care about this,
Hmm.
like it's their Stone Cold Steve Austin was the way I was looking at it.
Gotcha.
So, which
Gotcha.
DX was really WWE's NWO. That was their way of trying to
Yes.
capitalize on what the NWO
Yes.
was doing. Like, do you remember when they took the tank to Turner Building and like they were
Yes.
causing war with
Yeah. Yeah.
WCW? Like,
I remember
th
that.
that was amazing times back
It
then, man. Like,
was,
you
right?
didn't do that. It's not
No.
like today where TNA and WWE have contracts with each other. Back then, you didn't talk about the other show.
Right. Right.
Like, so for WWF to go to WCW's grounds and try to cause a war with them, and then the next thing you know, Ravishing Rick Rude is on both shows because WWE used to pre-record Monday Night Raw. It used to be a pre-tape show. And so they're watching Rick Rude on WWE, and all of a sudden he shows up on WCW, and you're like, wait a minute, what the hell's going on here? So, moments like that, I think that
I
those
lost
type
you.
of moments are what really carried the Monday Night Wars, so to
Very
speak.
good. Okay. Um, so we talked about WWF, WWE, WCW. When ECW came in, did you get into it?
Loved it.
Okay.
It wasn't when I was watching ECW, all they had was a pay-per-view every now and then. They didn't have a weekly show that I could find.
Okay.
Um, and we went and seen them in Toledo, Ohio. We went to
Oh,
an ECW event,
nice.
and it was the craziest thing. I
I
bought
could
a
have.
Spike Dudley shirt because I liked me some Spike Dudley, but it was just nuts. Like I remember me and my Uncle David, my cousin Al, we were young, and the crowd was chanting like "Show your tits, show your tits." And me and my cousin, we're young. We're asking my Uncle Dave, like, "Can we say that?" And he's like, "All right, yeah, this one time, just don't tell on me." Sorry, I'm telling on you, Uncle Dave. Um, but like it was just that's one of those moments that like I'll never ever forget. You see the Sandman coming out, and, smashing the beer can on his
Right,
head,
right,
and
right, right.
um, we got to see Sabu.
Taboo. Uh-huh.
Yeah, this was Rob Van Dam was still ECW at the time.
Okay.
So I was real young, and that's what really turned me on to ECW. Is it was just crazy.
Right,
Like you're
right,
watching
right.
it, and
Same for
they
me.
were those
Definitely.
dudes were
It
nuts,
was same
man.
for me. Yeah, definitely the same for me. Yeah. Definitely must watch. It's like, what are they going to do next? 'Cause they're not
Right.
using
Yeah, because
the
they're just gonna keep going over. Then you had like New Jack, like that guy was genuinely nuts.
yes, yes,
Like the dude was just like the dude like he would hurt people. Like he was just
right,
a
right,
genuine bad guy. And like
right, right, right,
Paulie Heyman was just like, whatever. It gets
right.
butts in the seats.
It's good TV. Okay, so let's switch gears a little. With WrestleMania coming up, and
Mhm.
it might be what you said earlier, but do you have an all-time favorite WrestleMania? Is it WrestleMania 3?
Three's up there. But if I take off those rose-colored goggles, WrestleMania 10's up there too, man. Like
Okay.
WrestleMania 10 was really good.
Yeah.
And that's one of those that like the opening match, the Hart versus Hart, brother versus brother
Yes.
match,
Right.
could have main evented any other Mania. That's
Sure.
how good that match was.
It's true.
Um,
I agree.
I'm still a big fan of WrestleMania 12. I mean, yeah, the Iron Man match steals the show, obviously, two of the greatest performers. But I mean, you had the Goldust versus Piper match, which I thought was awesome. I love that.
Mhm.
Diesel versus Undertaker.
Yeah.
Those, the Ultimate Warrior squashing Triple H because of
Yes.
the, he had to get the punishment.
Right.
So,
Right. Right. Right.
there's just so much about WrestleMania 12 that I'm a big fan of too. So for me, it would be between 3, 10, and 12
3,
would
10,
would
and 12.
probably be.
Okay.
6 is up there though too, man.
6. Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
Hogan and Warrior together,
Right.
like
That's right.
that's a good one. That's a really like
All
it's hard to
definitely,
pick.
all
Like
definitely good ones. Yeah. Definitely. All
yeah.
yeah.
If you twisted my arm, you got to pick one. I'm going 10. You
WrestleMania
got the
10.
ladder match
Right.
between Shawn and Razor, which was just
Yeah.
a phenomenal match.
Definitely.
Like I said, the Hart versus Hart match was just awesome. Watching Bret Hart and the storytelling, because back then, like we
Yeah.
didn't have the internet rags, you know what I mean? So you have Owen beating Bret to open the show. And
Right.
then at the end of the show, you have Bret winning the world title and
Yes.
all the superstars coming out. and Owen just standing up there at the ramp, staring down at him. Like that type of storytelling
Yeah,
back then was just absolutely phenomenal.
it's
Just
off the charts. Yeah,
beautiful
right,
storytelling, man. You
right.
got Macho Man holding the rope open, inviting Owen in, and Owen's just sitting up there at the top of the ramp, just staring down, just staring daggers. My big brother just won the world title, and I just beat my big brother 2.5 hours
Right,
ago.
right,
It
right,
was
right.
phenomenal, phenomenal storytelling, man.
That is that's great. That's great. Um, so I guess my next question is going to be, and it might be what you just mentioned, but I'll ask it. Do you have outside of the WrestleMania matches themselves? Do you have like a favorite WrestleMania moment? Maybe something backstage, an interview, anything that's just like a moment, would you say? Not a match.
Um,
Not
I think
match.
that people have probably talked about it. It's probably over talked, but just how impressive the timing is. I'm gonna have to go with Seth Rollins' curb stomp RKO. Um, just beautiful, beautiful timing there.
Okay, okay,
Um,
okay, okay.
especially at that age where I was at that time. Even now, it's very hard for me to watch something and go, "Whoa, that was awesome."
Yeah,
And
yeah,
the way that they timed then, you got Randy standing up and forgetting he didn't pin him, and he's celebrating over him, and Rollins is down there like, "Pin me, pin me, pin me." Like that was awesome. Um, Undertaker retiring Shawn Michaels. That was a good one.
okay,
Um,
okay,
yeah, I think those would probably be the two top ones right off the top of my head. But
okay, okay.
again, I just don't want to sound like a broken record and go back to 10, man. But
I got you.
um, that ending of WrestleMania 10, I don't think that'll ever be. The Cody Rhodes ending last year was cool.
Right,
With all the different things that were
right,
happening.
right, 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 right.
But with a storytelling, the way that the long-term storytelling, because WWE
Yes,
was great at that back in the day. They're starting to finally get back down that
yes,
long-term storytelling.
right.
That was great, man.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely awesome. You're right. I so agree. Okay, what are your thoughts on the John Cena heel turn?
Wonderful for business.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that, especially for people that have been wanting this for a long time, this
Yeah.
was the perfect way to do it.
Hmm.
Um, I think that this is invigorating for John himself. You could see that John is really playing into this. He's really
Yes.
loving it.
Right.
As a human being, there's probably not a better one on this planet than John. The
Mm.
things he's done for like Make-A-Wish and the things he's
Right.
done to help kids and
Right. Right.
um, so to see him finally be able to do something he's wanted to do for a long time, I think it's great. I think it's great for business. This is one of the first times that I could genuinely see either one of them going over at Mania.
Right.
And it's
Right.
very rare that that happens. Usually it's
Right.
pretty set in stone who's going to
Yes.
take the strap at Mania, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
this is so 50-50 and it's so up in the air that I'm excited to see the direction they go. Would it be
Right.
cool to see John set the record? Of course it would.
Yes.
17-time world champion, a guy that dedicated his heart, soul, and love to the business for a long time.
Right.
Um, of course you would like to see it, but at the same time, I've always been in that boat of I hate seeing part-timers be world champions. That's just not something, growing up, how we grew up, they were wrestling every week. There
Yeah.
wasn't no part-time champions. There
That's
was, you know what I
true.
mean? Like they were in the ring every week.
Grueling. Yeah.
Every
Grueling schedule.
pay-per-view you had a different opponent.
Mm.
Um, Champions wrestled. And
Yes.
that's something that I like to see. I wish WWE would go back to that because
Get
really
back
we're
to it.
only like
Mm.
pay-per-view, every other pay-per-view, like Gunther, he's only wrestling every other pay-per-view as a champion. And it's like,
Right.
I want to see, especially a guy like him, like he's phenomenal in the ring. I
Yes.
want to see him defend the title more. It
Sure. Of
means
course.
more when you see the guys defending more.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I definitely agree with that. Definitely. Um, who would you say is your favorite wrestler of the last 10 years?
Ooh, last 10 years. Um, Bray would have to be up there
Bray Wyatt?
because I fell off wrestling for a while and The Fiend brought me back. That
Okay.
was a big thing that brought me back in.
Okay.
So Bray would be up there. Rhea Ripley is up there. I think that she is just a special, special talent, a special,
Yeah.
special wrestler. Everybody talks about their wish they could have seen matches. Could you imagine China and Rhea both in their prime.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Like that would be the Hogan Andre, man. The
Yes.
unstoppable force meets the immovable object.
Yes. Right. Right. Right.
And
Right.
female wrestling has come such a long way. And this is no insult to females of the past,
Right.
but it's just come a long way because they're actually looked at as performers now. It's
Yes. Yes.
not they're just sex objects, you know. They actually
Right.
bring in female wrestlers, they bring in athletes and they perform. And so like I love watching Rhea. I love watching Bailey. I love watching them. I think that they're absolutely phenomenal. The women's rumble every year is so good.
Yes.
I'm glad that we're finally getting women to main event WrestleManias and main event pay-per-views. I think it's great for the
Yep.
women's division. And it's great for young ladies that look up to these women.
Definitely.
Um, you know, uh, Seth Rollins is up there. I really like Seth. I think Seth is awesome. He's a guy. He's a WWE guy through and through, just like
Yeah.
Roman.
Right. Yeah.
They don't want to go.
Roman is mine. I just wanted to share
Yeah,
that with you. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Roman me for the
Uh,
last 10 years. Yeah.
he's just again, he's a workhorse, man.
Yes.
Jay
Yes.
Uso, I love Jay. I think him and Jimmy both are phenomenal athletes. But if I got to pick one, just one favorite over the last 10 years, um, unpopular opinion, man, because I know a lot of people overrate him, but I think he's a great performer. And I think he always does what's best for business. I'm gonna go Damian Priest. Um, I think that Damian has grown so much since he's been on the main roster. His title run was a little premature. They probably should have held off on that a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't think he was ready to carry the company at that time. But he's a company guy, just like Drew McIntyre. I'm a huge Drew McIntyre fan. I think
Mhm.
that Drew McIntyre is now what Bobby the Brain Heenan was on the mic back in the day. He was that guy that
Okay.
would just get under your skin. He
Yes.
knows how to talk, and he has social media to be able to do it too.
Right.
Um,
Right. Right.
yeah. You know what? No, final answer. I'm gonna say it. Sami Zayn.
Oh
Sami
yes, I
Zayn.
remember you talking about him on one of your
Yep.
your live streams. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
I'll that you know what? Final answer. I'm gonna go with Sammy. I'm sitting here
Okay.
racking my
Okay.
brain. I'm trying to get away from the obvious, but it's got to be Sammy. The guy grew up just like me, big punk rock ska guy, and he's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's so tenacious
Okay.
and he's
Okay.
great on the mic. His bloodline stuff, man, that whole thing was
Oh, that was
so
I got
good.
so into that. It was so
Oh,
great. I
so
know.
great.
I even love his song, how the crowd gets into
Oh
his theme.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. I love
Oh yeah, man. It's fun.
it. So nowadays, currently, would you say are you are you watching AEW or are you kind of still like following close to AEW or WWE AEW?
I mean, I'll check out AEW every once in a while.
Hmm.
AEW makes a lot of the same mistakes that WCW made.
Okay.
Um, where they're bringing in performers that are past their prime and they're trying to push them to superstar status.
Okay.
When you have a great crop of young guys there,
Yes.
um, and they do the dumbest things, man. And like the shit they just did with Ambrose, like I hated that.
Mm.
Um, oh fuck, Moxley. I'm sorry, not Ambrose,
Right,
Moxley.
right, right. I got you. Yeah.
Um, I didn't like that, man. And again, this is no fault of Moxley or anything like that. The guy's going to go out there and do what he's asked to do. He's a performer. Um, but you'd think they would learn from the whole CM Punk incident. Like, there's no reason to go out and do shit like that.
Right,
All you're doing is, you're going to put the guy on the shelf, and for what? What did you really gain from the situation?
right.
And some of their storytelling is just they're not there yet. They're
Yeah,
still to
yeah,
me
true.
they're going to do what TNA did. They're going to waver back and forth, and they're going to finally get to the point where people are like, whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
unless they can get some better story writing, and bring in some of those younger guys. I mean, you got guys like Ricky Starks jumping ship. I didn't think
Yeah,
that would happen.
right,
Especially
right.
when you had him and Adam Copeland.
Yeah.
That was one of the better back and forth I've ever seen in AEW.
Mm, mm. Yeah, yeah,
You're like a vanilla rock. You that really pushed me over the edge. Like it was
yeah.
like, okay, like these guys are getting real with each other.
Right, 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 right. Um, Hold on one sec. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Okay. And back to Cena's heel turn. Let's go back there for just 1 minute. Um, whose heel turn would you say had more impact was more impactful? Do you think it was Cena's or Hogan's back in '96?
Oh man, Hogan's.
Hogan's?
Hogan's. Absolutely. Cena's is great. Cena's is amazing. But we're in a world now where um it's kind of hard to surprise people because it's already been done. And people have the
Yes.
internet and they do stuff like that. But
Okay.
I mean
Mhm.
that Hogan one was so bad. People were throwing their shit in the ring at
I
the
know.
guy.
I remember all the garbage.
Yeah,
Great.
like it was like that was like people were
Was
pissed, man,
pissed. Pete,
because
I know I was.
at that point it was essentially because we all know that once Hall and Nash joined and they were the NWO, what that really was the de facto WWF. So that was their way of saying WWF versus WCW. So for Hogan to pick WWF and essentially at that moment by joining the NWO, that's the way a lot of people looked at it.
Yeah.
A lot of hardcore WCW fans were pissed, like they were mad.
Mm.
Um, I didn't learn until years later the third man was supposed to be Sting.
Oh, okay.
Like Sting was originally set to be the third man of the NWO, and I can't remember what happened where Steve, bowed out of it, but he was like, I don't want to do this, and Hogan was like, because Hogan had creative control, and so he was like, you know what, I'll do it, I'll do it,
Hmm.
and it was the best decision for him for business, especially at that point, because the Hogan character had gone stale,
Right.
you know.
Right. Right. That's
It's
true.
just the same thing with John, but what I love about John is he's like, I'm not gonna come out here and wear new clothes. I'm not doing anything for you. Like I'm just still
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Hogan
Yeah.
started to,
Yeah. Yeah.
rep the black beard and started wearing pants instead of the yellow, tights. Like Hogan went all out with his character. Cena's like, fuck you. I'm gonna do what I
Hmm.
want to do. I'm not doing anything to impress
Right.
you,
Right.
you
Right. Right.
know.
Right. 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 So you mentioned when you were young, you attended WrestleMania 3, right?
Hmm.
Did you attend any other WrestleManias?
No, but I attend Royal Rumble every year.
Royal Rumble every year you go to
Yep.
Royal Rumble. Oh, cool.
Yep, we
Very good.
travel every year. We went to Tampa last year. We went to Chicago this year.
Nice.
Um, yeah, we travel for Rumble every year. I mean, obviously, I won't go next year in Saudi Arabia, but
Right. 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 Right.
when they
Right.
announced that, I was like, assholes. Guess I'm going to guess I'm going to Mania next year then. Um, but yeah, me and my best friend Bill, we go every year to Rumble.
Okay.
Last year my son went. This year he couldn't because he was in his own wrestling tournament. He's an amateur wrestler at school, and my wife went with us. And Ashley was just like, "Yeah, this was cool. I'll never do it again." Ashley is not a wrestling fan whatsoever. Like it's not for her.
Okay. 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 Yeah, I only attended one WrestleMania when WrestleMania 18 in Toronto,
Mm.
Rock and Hogan. That was that was pretty wild actually.
Phenomenal. That was a good one to be
It
at.
was wild. You had to be there to hear the crowd. It was wild back and forth crowd. It was nuts. It's really something just to be there and just hear the crowd. That just like lit me up even just remembering that back and forth chanting for Hogan, chanting for Rock. It's crazy. It was just crazy.
That's awesome.
Do you
That's
have
how it
a
was this year when Jay won the Rumble. I couldn't
yes.
believe it.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
whole
yeah.
crowd was just enamored by that.
Yeah, yeah. That whole Yeet thing, unbelievable. The mind of its own that's taken on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oh yeah.
definitely. Do you, since I know you've attended a bunch of, or all the Royal Rumbles, basically, do you have a favorite Royal Rumble?
Man, I know people are gonna laugh at this because everybody else thought it was the worst, but last year's Rumble in Tampa, man, like
Okay,
it was awesome. Like
okay.
it was great. Seeing Cody win was cool. But man, I've never laughed harder than R-Truth, man. Like the guy is he's comedy gold, man. Like when he
Right.
goes out in the women's rumble and he's like, "Where the guys at?" Like that was great. And then when he comes out to the men's rumble and he stands on the apron and he's trying to get the tag from Dominic
Yes, yeah.
Mysterio, he's hyping the crowd up and we're all laughing. And if you go back and watch that rumble, like something that I think is so underrated because nobody talks about it,
Mhm.
Jimmy Uso is constantly trying to make buddies with everybody in there. Like everybody that comes in, he's trying to handshake him and dap him up, and everybody's just beating his ass every time. And it was so funny and so well done. And I just loved I love when wrestlers can bring genuine comedy to their characters. And Sammy's another one that can do it.
Yes.
And our truth is, man, like he's Santino Morella level hilarious.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like he is
Yeah, yeah.
so good and like. the stuff he did with the Judgment Day was phenomenal. And like I said, when he comes out, where the guys at? Like everybody in the crowd, man, we were dying laughing. Um, this year was cool though. I got to see Joe Hendry come out, which was awesome. Got the pleasure of hanging out with him for about an hour a couple weeks ago at Astronomicon in Detroit. Um, Good guy. As a lot of people know, these TNA/WWE wrestlers are not allowed to do podcast interviews. So everybody's like, why didn't you interview him when you were hanging out with him? Because we couldn't, and I didn't record anything obviously because I respect his privacy and I respect his contract. And
Right.
um, he's a great guy. He's a really good dude. And Ash and I were very lucky to get to meet him. My daughter got to meet him. My daughter's a big Joe Hendry fan. My daughter's a huge Jey Uso fan. She loves she'll
Yeah,
do all
the
that. Yeah,
yeet.
she's into it. And so yeah, long answer. Last year's was great. This year's was awesome too. Like
Okay.
star-studded, man. Like the moment with Rollins and Reigns in the ring was so awesome. And seeing Jay win it, like that was awesome. None of us
Mm.
expected that.
Right. Right.
I didn't even
Right.
expect him in the final four, let alone to
Right.
have him win it.
Right. 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 Yeah. Yeah.
So
That was
yeah,
good.
that was a good event.
Good. Good to see. Who would you say is the nicest wrestler that you have met in person?
Oh, Mick Foley.
Mick Foley?
Oh, Mick Foley, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mick Foley.
Yeah.
Kurt Angle would be up there.
Kurt Angle.
He was really great. Um, the only ones that were ever really kind of shitty to us were Glenn Jacobs. Kane, he was kind of, it wasn't even that he
Okay.
was shitty. He was just in a hurry, so he had to go. So he was just kind of brushing everybody off, which
Okay.
again, is not really no fault of his own. But if I got to talk about experience, I got to talk about experience.
Sure.
And Sergeant Slaughter was a dick. Like, he was an ass. But
Okay. Okay. Okay.
um, besides that, Hacksaw Jim Duggan was up there. He was super super awesome to my kid when my kid got to meet him, and he let my
Okay.
son hold the U.S. title, and he held the 2x4, and they did the ho when my son was like 5 years old.
Nice.
He was great.
Okay.
Hendry's up there. He's very kind.
Okay.
Um, Really, I haven't had any really issues with any superstars. Matt Riddle's become a good friend. I like
Okay.
Matt a lot.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Um, because my son's a huge Matt Riddle fan. Because, like I said, my son's an amateur wrestler, and my son's a three-time state champion. He's a junior, going for a
Awesome.
four-peat next year.
Awesome. Good luck.
And in amateur wrestling, Matt Riddle beat John Jones. And so, like, my son, who's also a huge UFC guy, was at,
Um,
wanted to talk to Matt about that. And Matt sent my son a cool video and,
nice.
telling me, us stallions got to stick together and keep, working our asses off. And, um, I've been lucky enough to have like Matt, Kurt, Matt Hardy, that they've all been on the show before.
Okay.
And yeah, I haven't really had much bad except Slaughter. Slaughter, he was a dick.
Okay.
Um, Besides that, I can't really think of any bad experience. Mick Foley was amazing. Just don't shake his hand.
Okay.
Fist bump him. He
I
doesn't do the
remember,
handshake
yeah, I
thing.
actually met him at I think he was at a was he at a horror fest? I think he was at one of the horror fests a year or two ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Was it
gotta,
Horror Hound by any chance?
no, I don't think it was. I can't
Okay.
remember which one it was now.
Well, I met him when I was young, at the
Okay.
Lenawee County Fair.
Oh, okay.
And I we asked him if he was going to be winning the title at SummerSlam, and his exact answer to me and my friends was, "I don't know. I haven't read the script yet." And that was the funniest thing to us. And I've remembered it all these years. And when I met him again as an adult, I told him that story, and he goes, "Yeah, that sounds like a Mick Foley thing to say." He was laughing about it, and um, it was really really cool. Uh, he is. And he's just so sweet and so kind. He was great to us as kids. He was great to me and my wife as adults. And yes, I'd say Mick has to be up there.
Okay. I remember it now. It was Terracon in Massachusetts. Yeah,
Okay,
Terracon in
cool.
Massachusetts. Yeah. That's where I met him. Yeah. All right. When you were younger, did you buy any wrestling magazines, have a collection? Did you play any of the wrestling video games too, either?
Yes to all.
Okay.
I would buy WWE the magazine. I see you got some covers back there.
Yep.
And they'd always give you the pay-per-view from like 3 months ago. They'd give you the
Right,
walkthrough on each of them and
right, right,
interviews.
right.
Um, Owned every WWE game in your house. I played all that stuff. Um, Still to this day, if I go to an arcade, the first cabinet I'm looking for is the WWE game. It's got Big Boss Man, Kurt Hennig, Hulk Hogan. That's the first arcade cabinet I'm looking for. If I ever step foot in an arcade, I'm going right to
Okay.
that one.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I had them all when I was young. It was like In Your House, Royal Rumble, Survivor Series. I had the Nintendo game that was fucking impossible to pin the guy on. Um,
Okay.
that's all I remember about that game, man. Like the
Right.
sprites, how you could make them run, and it was just so impossible to pin somebody in that game. I'd beat their ass for 5 hours, and I couldn't pin anybody. And then obviously the Super Nintendo ones, like they had the one that was kind of Mortal Kombat-esque, like where you could do like crazy moves and hit, like the Undertaker would swing a tombstone, and we had all that stuff. I used to buy all the action figures. I had all the the Ring. I would buy the WWE, the music, and I would play their theme songs, and I'd walk them down, and I'd get them in the ring, and I'd wrestle them. I still have like up in my bedroom right now. I still have the old $1 million belt. The million
Okay.
dollar
Okay.
title. I still got
Okay.
that. I
Nice.
would buy every single one of the belts that came out. Um, yeah, I absolutely. If there was my allowance every week was $5, and we had a KB Toys in our town. And if I did all my chores, I'd get my allowance. We'd go to KB Toys, and I'd get a WWF action figure every week. Every week, I was
Sweet.
buying a new action figure, and
Sweet. Sweet.
um, yeah, that was absolutely. Oh man, if there was WWE things to be had, I was having them.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Um, what wrestlers who are actors in films? Which wrestlers that are in films would you wrestler or wrestlers in films would you like the most? Would you say
Oh, Batista.
Batista? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Batista, and this is nothing against like John or Dwayne or Hogan. Like they've done obviously amazing things, but none of them have the depth that Batista has.
Okay.
Batista does the Guardians of the Galaxy comedy thing funny. He does, the big bad macho guy thing awesome. But he also does like he was in Knock at the Cabin, the M. Night Shyamalan film, and
Right.
he was
Right.
just phenomenal in that movie. Like that's what I was like, wow, this dude is an actor. Like he doesn't have to be some big dude with his shirt off running around beating people's asses. Like he can be a real character in a movie, and I'm a huge Dave Batista fan when it comes to acting.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And my favorite film by a wrestler is They Live. So,
No, Roddy Piper.
yep. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome. Yeah.
Came to chew bubble gum and kick ass, and I'm fresh out of bubble
That's
gum, baby.
it. That's it. That's it. Do you have any all-time favorite tag teams?
Hmm. Hardy Boys got to be up there.
Okay.
Um, I mean, the Hart Foundation was great when I was a kid.
Yep. Yep.
I don't think I'm going to put anybody above Hardy's.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
that'll be,
The Hardy Boys, number one.
that was the one for me that, yeah, growing up, that they were coming in right at that time when I was, and Jeff Hardy was just doing the most crazy shit for WWF.
I love the Road Warriors.
Oh yeah, yeah. Love the
They're
Road Warriors,
they're
Legion of
just
Doom.
awesome.
Yeah, they were great.
Yeah.
Like I said, Demolition, looking back,
Yes.
they were
Yep.
so good.
Mhm.
There was a lot of great tag teams, especially back then. But um, yeah, I'm gonna have to stick with the Hardy Boys on this one.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
Michaels and Diesel was up there too, though. Two
Yeah.
dudes with attitudes, like that. They were awesome,
Right.
but they did. There was no longevity there. That was two single guys that
Getting
hung
paired.
out backstage that wanted to have a tag team title run.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know,
Right. Right. Right.
Uh,
Right.
when it comes to essentially just like a tag team, I'd say the Hardys are my favorite, but I think the best tag team of all time was probably the Dudley Boys. I think they'll go down in history as the greatest of all time, in my opinion.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yvonne, get the table.
Yep.
Do you watch the Hall of Fame ceremonies?
I mean, it's not that I don't want to, just normally I just don't have the time.
Okay.
I'll catch the recaps of them,
Okay.
but yeah, most of the time
Okay.
I'm usually doing something.
All right. Any thoughts on the list that's being inducted this year? It's Triple H, Lex Luger, Michelle McCool, Earthquake and Typhoon, Kamala, Ivan Koloff, Dory Funk Sr. Any thought, anything jump out at you? Anything you want to share?
I think it's about time that, tugboat, typhoon, earthquake and typhoon, the natural disasters. It's about fucking time.
Okay.
Earthquake was a great big man.
Yeah.
Great, great big man in the business. Um, Besides that, all of them, none of them are undeserving, I don't think. Everybody you
Okay.
just mentioned, they're all super deserving to be in the
Yeah.
Hall of Fame. Um, yeah, that's a great class, honestly. From everything you just said, that's a great class. I'm glad Earthquake's getting in. I think
Yeah.
Earthquake is one of the most underrated big men in the business.
Okay.
And the
Okay.
longevity that guy had.
He did
Um,
go a lot of years. That's right. Yeah, that's
it's the
true.
same thing with Tugboat slash Typhoon. If you want to have the infamous WCW slip and fall out the wall, that guy probably would have kept going too, but that was kind
Yeah.
of a career killer right there.
Oh man, that's true. Definitely.
But
Definitely.
I remember that was a huge heel turn back in the day too, if you remember. When Tugboat turned on Hogan and became Typhoon,
Yes, that's
that
right.
was that was a pretty gigantic heel
That
turn
was
back in
that
the
was
day,
pretty
man.
big. That was pretty.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
I was heartbroken when I was a kid and that happened. I was like, no,
Uh,
Tugboat, why? You know.
oh. So this year, you're probably aware, it's the first time ever that they're inducting a match into the Hall of Fame called the Immortal Moment, and it's going to be Stone Cold versus Bret Hart from WrestleMania
Absolutely.
13. What are your thoughts on that?
The best match ever when it comes to double turn.
Double
There'll
turn. Yeah.
never be never. You could bring up Rock and Hogan. You were
Right.
there.
Right. Right. Right.
No
Right.
offense to that match, no offense to those guys.
Yeah.
Those are two of the biggest superstars in the business. Those are two of the biggest superstars in the world. People
Yeah.
that have never watched a pro wrestling match know The Rock. They know Hulk Hogan. And that's just a
Yeah.
fact.
That's true.
But
Very.
the way that it happened in 13 so organically, so
Mm,
naturally
yeah.
was just holy shit, that was awesome.
Yeah.
And when Brett won't release that sharpshooter and Shamrock's got to get in there, like
Right.
if there's a match to be inducted as number one into the Hall of Fame, you couldn't pick a better match.
Nice. Nice.
Two dudes that genuinely loved each other, got in a huge fight backstage. I don't know if you know this. After the match, they got in a huge fight backstage because they weren't supposed to blade. And so to play
Oh,
it off like it was an accident, they got in a huge fight backstage. They were both in on it, but they got in a huge fight backstage to make it look like it was a huge accident so they didn't lose their payday.
okay.
So
Okay.
after the match, you got Brett and Austin back there fighting, and it was an accident, man. We didn't mean to. And the whole time they're in on it with each other. It's a fake
Yeah.
fight, but
Yeah.
nobody knew that. Everybody thought they were really tussling back there. And I think that's the genius of Brett and Austin.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. Nice. Um, we may have touched on it, but if not, let me ask, what are some of your favorite non-WrestleMania matches?
Oh, Heart Perfect SummerSlam.
Hard and Perfect with SummerSlam. Yeah. Yeah.
That was a good one.
Mhm.
Oh man, Bret Hart, Davey Boy Smith.
Yeah.
Davey Boy Smith winning the Intercontinental title
Yes.
with that
Yes.
roll up. That was a
Yes.
great,
Yes.
great match.
Yep. Yep.
Um, let's go Monday Night Raw. Jeff Hardy versus The Undertaker ladder match.
Yeah.
I thought Jeff was going to win the belt that night. I
Okay.
really thought Jeff was
Right.
coming away
Right.
with it.
Right. 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 Right.
So that one would have to be up there. Um, Undertaker, Mankind, Hell in a Cell.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
that's
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
have any lists
That
without
was
talking about that one.
unbelievable.
Yeah, oh, dude, just an insane match. Um, CM Punk, John Cena, when Punk walked out with the world title in Chicago.
Yes.
That was a good one.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Um, but and these are all not. If I'm saying my favorite match of all time, it's Savage Steamboat. But
Okay.
non-WrestleMania, those are some that pop to my mind.
Okay.
John Cena, Shawn Michaels, 1 hour match on Raw overseas, where Shawn wins with the attitude adjustment flipped into the sweet chin music, and
Yes.
Shawn just falls on top of him and pins him. Hour
Yes.
long
Yes.
match overseas on Raw. That would be up there too. That was those guys. Obviously, Shawn could get in the ring with a broom and make it work, but
That's
those
true.
two
Very
made
true.
made magic that day.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. Definitely. Who would you say is your favorite wrestling manager of all time?
Oh, Bobby Heenan.
Bobby Heenan?
Paul Heyman's up there now. I think Paul
Okay.
Heyman is just as good, but no one could get under your skin the way Bobby Heenan could.
Okay.
And I think Bobby Heenan on the mic, Bobby Heenan as a manager, he was so good. I mean, if you'd asked me back in the day, I probably would have said like, I don't know, Jimmy Hart maybe. Yeah,
Okay.
I still think Jimmy Hart's up there. He's top five for me. Um, man, Miss
Okay.
Elizabeth
Yep.
obviously
Yep. Yep.
is she's got to be up there. But number one for me has to be the Brain. It has to be Bobby the
Bobby
Brain
Heenan.
Heenan.
Okay. Okay.
Um, he
Yeah.
was just so good at doing what he
True.
did.
Yeah, it's true.
Um,
Very true.
he could pit, but he was so good. Like even on the mic, like when
Yes.
he would be on commentary,
Yes.
like he
Yes.
was he's just an amazing performer. Loved
Yes.
Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Yeah. 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 Definitely. Um, how about wrestlers? Who are some of your favorite at promos?
Ooh, straight promo guys.
Yeah.
Um, Cena's got to be up there. Punk,
Cena. Cena and Punk.
yeah. Sean, Sean could cut a promo, man. Like he
Hmm.
really could cut a promo. The DX stuff was brilliant.
Yes.
It was brilliant.
It was.
Um,
Definitely.
I'm trying to think of other guys that were great at just strictly promo work. Um, Austin could cut a good promo.
Yeah. Hmm.
I think if Bret Hart could was better at promos, he'd have been the best of all time at overall. But he couldn't cut a promo to save his life. Um, uh, man, I don't know because like even like the ones like the one that comes to my head is gonna be Santino Marella.
Okay.
Um, just
Okay.
because he could take anything and make it perfect, man.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Like, how about you, John Cena? Like, and he can make anybody break. And I'll never forget there was a time where Beth Phoenix was walking to the ring, and all of a sudden Santino comes out. He's got an acoustic guitar, and he's just hitting open notes, and he's singing "I Think We're Alone Now" by Tiffany. And it's
Yeah.
one of the funniest moments I can ever remember. Rey Mysterio, like it just he was so good at just being the dumbass, and he made it work so well. And then when he was Santina, he was his sister.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Mr. McMahon and Donald Trump, you call it McDonald's. Like it was just he was so good, man, at
Yes.
making
Yes.
people laugh and breaking people and making people break character. And come on, man. Cobra, that shit was awesome, man. Like that was so funny.
Hilarious.
Shad Gaspar took that one time and he did the convulsions and shit. Like it was so good. Like so good. I thought he was gonna win the Rumble with him and Del Rio. Like when him and Del Rio were the last two, I was
Yeah.
like, I mean, you knew it was gonna be Del Rio. But a
Right.
part of
Right.
you, because of the way the crowd, the way everything was going, you're like Santino, and he's doing he's marching around trumpeting, and
Yes. Yep.
I
Yep.
was like, he might actually do this. They should have, man. They should have had Santino win that. But yeah, I think that when it comes to being a promo guy, he's probably gonna go on top because I like the guys that could make me laugh all the time.
Right. 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 Right.
So him and Killings, him and R-Truth, I think those would be the two that will always be top tier funny guys for me.
Yeah. 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 Um. Okay. Favorite wrestler ring entrance of all time. Do you have one?
Like as like a steady ring entrance or just a one-off entrance?
Like a steady ring entrance,
Oh,
steady
Warrior.
warrior. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either Warrior or Mr. Perfect. He'd always do the gum spit. And that's something I
Yes.
still do
Yes.
to
That's
this
right.
day,
Right. 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 Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then he would throw up the towel and Heenan would catch it behind him. It
Yes.
was just, it was so good. Like, but, Warriors was always really good. I always thought Warriors was great.
Okay.
Triple H, the spitting of the water.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
always up there.
Yeah.
If we're going a one-off entrance, it would have to be Shawn Michaels WrestleMania 12.
Okay.
Coming down from the ceiling.
Yes.
That
Yes.
was
Yes.
epic.
Yeah. That was pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. 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 Um. Let's see. So speaking of Warrior, do you have a favorite match of his?
Funny enough, WrestleMania 5, him and Ravishing Rick Rude. Rick
WrestleMania
Rude winning the
5.
Intercontinental title with
Okay.
Bobby the Brain Heenan grabbing the leg and holding the leg.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Um, that was the great way to put Rick Rude on the map, and the Warrior still looked strong after the match,
Yes.
chasing Heenan out of the ring.
Right.
Um, and man, Rick Rude coming out with the Intercontinental title on his trunks,
Yes.
like
Yes.
that
Yes.
was just
Right. Right. Right.
yeah.
Right. Right. Right.
So
Right. Right.
I'd have to say that one. Because the thing with the Warrior, I mean, let's be honest, he never really had very many long matches. Warrior was
Long,
mostly
right?
a
They
squash
were
guy. Yeah.
quick matches. Yeah.
Um, and him and Hogan, like even if you go back and watch it, yes, it's the unstoppable force meets an immovable object, but the match was not very good. Like it was not a very good match. Um, but yeah, I think that him and Rick Rude and Kurt Hennig, it should be criminal that those guys weren't world champions.
Yes.
Like
Hmm.
Scott, I'd put Scott Hall on that list too. The three guys I
Okay.
think Ted DiBiase should have been a
Yep.
world champion.
Yep.
He
Yep.
was
Yep.
just
Right.
so I think that up until who I think the greatest heel of all time is, and I'll fight anybody on this,
Uh,
Dominic Mysterio.
oh, okay.
I think Dom is the biggest heel of all time. Like the way that he's able, he can't even get a word in when he's on the mic.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
the $1 million man taking basketballs and throwing them away from little kids, and he didn't generate the heat that Dominic Mysterio does just for talking.
Right.
Um,
Right. Right.
but up until then, I think the $1 million man was the greatest heel of all time, and the fact that he never won a world title is it's absolutely criminal because his
Very
in-ring
true.
work was absolutely phenomenal too.
Yeah. 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 Um, what's your favorite finishing move of all time? Do you have one?
I mean, it's simple but effective. It's either going to be the Code Breaker. I like
Okay.
Jericho's Code Breaker, and Billy Gunn's Famouser, man, the famed
Yes.
asser.
Okay. Right. 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 Right.
Just
Right.
the
Right.
leg drop onto the head, like
Yes. Yes.
simple
Yes.
moves, but I don't know. I think they're simple but effective. I like them.
Okay. 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 Cool. Um, WrestleMania 41. Uh, what's coming up next weekend, actually. What match or matches are you the most excited about?
Punk Reigns, Roman.
Punk Reigns Roman. Okay.
I mean, I'm obviously I'm really hoping for or Rollins. Why did I say Reigns? Obviously Roman Reigns, duh,
Right, right,
dumbass.
right, 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 right.
Um, I want to see Seth Rollins win this match. I
Okay.
really do.
Okay.
Um, I'm glad that it's main eventing. I think that's cool. I think it's also kind of really disrespectful to Jey Uso at the same time, and the
Right,
women
right.
that should be main eventing. I'm really looking forward to that one. I'm hoping we can see Jey Uso win the world title. That would just be an amazing moment. Those would be the two. Obviously, Cody Cena is going to be what it is. It's going to be
Right,
a great match.
right, right.
But those two are two that I'm really excited for. The Braun Breaker Fatal Four Way, I think, will be good.
Yes.
Um,
Yep. Hmm.
I
Yep.
like Braun Breaker a lot. I think that you talk about great tag teams, the Steiner brothers. You
Yes.
know,
Yeah.
two
Mhm.
two guys that just oh my God, Rick Steiner, one of the most underrated performers of all time. He was not a Marty Jannetty. You know what I mean? Like he was a great performer, and to see Braun Breaker doing what he's doing and seeing his
Yeah.
dad up there in the stands rooting for him, like that's fucking cool, man.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I'm excited for that Fatal Four Way too. I'm really bummed we're not going to get Owens and Randy.
Mm,
Um, that sucks because I think that would have
does.
been that could have been potentially a show stealer,
It could have been.
but
Yeah. Right.
you can't put a guy out there that's that hurt.
No.
It's
No.
it's not worth it.
No. No. Who would you say has the best spear? You think it's Breaker? You think it's Goldberg, Reigns, Edge? Anyone else
Man,
come to mind?
I I've seen Goldberg. I think I got to give it to Goldberg, but man, that spear that Breaker just hit on Carlito, or the one he hit on
Right, right. I
Speed
saw that. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
at
yeah.
Royal Rumble.
Right,
I
right.
saw that one in person, and the whole crowd felt that one. We were all
Yeah,
ooh,
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
he
yeah, yeah.
killed Speed with that one. But yeah, the Edge had a great one too, man.
Right,
Like
right.
we can't leave that one out.
Yeah.
But I think you got to give it to Goldberg just
Okay.
because
Yeah.
it looked good, it hit hard, and he still hit you with the jackhammer after.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I'm personally gonna give it to Goldberg, but man, Braun Breaker's giving him a run for his money, man, because those look like they hurt.
Okay. Yeah, I got you. All right. I know you said earlier in the earlier that you thought that Cena and Cody was really 50-50, but if I had to put your feet to the fire, who do you think is winning, Cena or Cody?
Oh, man. The way that WWE is doing their storytelling right now, I'm gonna go with Cody
Cody.
because they're turning Cena heel this quickly and putting the belt on him.
Yes.
doesn't make a lot of sense.
Okay. Okay.
But there's also the what if they, Cena, if Cena walks out, I won't be surprised. But just by the way they've been doing their long-term storytelling, I could see Cena losing it here and being like, this is why I turned because nobody gives me the respect I deserve. And you see Cena amping up his villainry, amping up his heel, and costing Rhodes the match at the next pay-per-view against a
Right.
Roman Reigns or something like that. And then you
Yeah.
have, John Cena putting himself in that match. I could see so many different ways that they could go about this very clever.
Okay.
I mean, you could have Cena win this match and be like, now I'm leaving. I'm not coming back. What's going to
Okay.
lure him? I'm going to be the 17th champion forever. No one's going to beat me. I won the title. I don't need to impress any of you. I'm gone.
Ah, that's a
And
good,
then
yeah, that's a good
what's going to
point.
call him out to bring him back? Like,
That's
who's going to
good.
be the one to call him out and be like, okay, Cena, is it because I guess you did give up. I guess you are a coward. So
Okay. Okay.
I
Well,
also want to say I firmly believe John Cena is getting inducted in the Hall of Fame next year.
next year, John Cena in the Hall of Fame.
Yep. And I think
Okay.
he's going to end his speech with, "My time is up. Your time is now."
I love it.
I
I
think that's
love
how it's.
that. That's
I, I
awesome.
I think that's how it's going to go, man. Because
That
for
is
years we've heard, "Your time is up. My time is now." So I think he ends his Hall of Fame speech with "My time is up, guys, but your time is now."
wow. I
You know,
like that. Really
passing the
like that.
torch to the younger generation.
That's really good. I really like that. Well, I will shortly, depending upon when whoever's watching this video, I will be shortly putting up my WrestleMania 41 predictions. So everyone knows. And I think that may be all I have for us. And I don't,
Awesome.
I thank you for your time. I appreciate you being with us.
Of
And
course.
once again, guys, I'm with Ken Sledge, Sledgehammer Horror. Check out his channel, subscribe. Anything else you want to say, Ken? You want to do a little plug for yourself if you like, if you want?
No, man. Follow us on social media, Sledgehammer Horror. Um, Ashley would have been here, but she would have just been like,
Right.
wrestling. It's
Okay.
not her
Okay.
thing.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I'm honored that you invited me to be on. It's very special to me to be able to come here and talk about wrestling with you, and
Same
I
for
just
me.
really appreciate the opportunity.
I appreciate you coming. I appreciate your time, and look forward to doing more with you in the future.
I'm in.
All right. Thanks a bunch, Ken. You take care now. And
All right, you too.
enjoy WrestleMania.
Oh, promise.
I'll talk to you soon.
All right, see you, buddy.
Bye bye. Take care.